Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Don Fisher. It could soon cost a lot more to visit your favorite national park, as the Park Service is considering hiking entrance fees at 17 of its most popular parks, including Glacier and Yellowstone. MTN's Nicole Miller goes on special assignment with an in-depth look on how billions of dollars in deferred maintenance is affecting how much you could pay to visit the park.
America's national parks are more popular than ever, surpassing 330 million visitors last year.
We saw 1 million visitors in July, which was a number that I don't think any of us at the park were really expecting.
But that heavy visitation does take a toll on the wear and tear of the park.
In places like Glacier, we have about $150 million in deferred maintenance. Most of that is in the roads, but we also have, a significant portion that's also in our buildings, our parking lots, our administrative buildings, our housing for our employees.
To generate funding for the needed improvements, the National Park Service is considering a hike in entrance fees at 17 of its most popular parks, including Glacier.
So for 5 months of the year, these 17 parks would have a proposed increase to their entrance fees for those 7-day passes in order to generate more revenue for some of the badly needed infrastructure projects in these parks.
The increase is expected to generate $70 million annually. 80% of an entrance fee will remain in the park it's collected. The other 20% will go towards repairing the other national parks. But the National Parks Conservation Association, a nonprofit that advocates for improved funding for our national parks, does not support the proposal.
This is a significant amount of money for families who are making ends meet. And we would hate for people to be priced out of national parks. It's also unclear whether any research was done on whether or not this could impact local economies. If this discourages people from visiting their national parks, then that would affect the local economies that depend on visitors to spend their money.
National parks are a very popular family vacation, but it's also very popular for all ages, and including the millennial travelers, because they are able to come and experience some really incredible, large landscapes, be able to get outside and experience incredible scenery and have outdoor adventure in these national parks.
The fee increase proposal comes as the Trump administration is proposing to decrease the National Park Service budget by nearly $380 million. A public comment period on the proposal is open until November 23rd on the National Park Service's website. Reporting in Glacier National Park, Nicole Miller, MTN News.
And if this price hike does go into effect, it'll go from May through September of next year. And our Storm Tracker weather team is showing a shift in the weather for the end of the week. For more, let's take it over to meteorologist Erin Yost for her first forecast. Erin?
Yeah, we're going to see some precipitation here over the next couple of days. Unfortunately, the time frame that we have the potential of seeing freezing rain will be right around tomorrow morning's commute. So do be prepared for changing road conditions across northwest Montana, especially. Right now we are seeing a southwesterly flow usher in a few light snow showers to some of west central Montana, but the big show headed our way throughout the day tomorrow. We do have some winter weather advisories that have been posted from 5 o'clock tomorrow morning until 1 p.m. on Thursday for the potential of pockets of freezing rain and perhaps a little light snow accumulation, keeping things slick on the roadways of some of northwest Montana. We've got more details coming up.
All right, thank you, Erin. And as that snow or freezing rain continues to fall, the Valley County Department of Roads and Bridges has been up early to plow the roads and keep them safe for commuters. The Department of Transportation also plays a part in helping to keep the roads as safe as possible for travel all the time. They recently created a phone and desktop application that will help drivers throughout the winter in a number of ways. The app has a map that has multiple layers of info with anything from construction and accidents to road conditions and a radar showing the weather. The map also has statewide webcams so you can actually get a look at what the roads currently look like. Justin Juliffs, the maintenance chief with the Department of Transportation in Kalispell, says he hopes the app will simply help people make a decision on whether or not to travel and stay safe.
Both the road reporting mobile application as well as the desktop application help us provide that timely and accurate road weather information to the traveling public so they can be more guided in their decision to travel or not.
And Juliff says with another storm coming to the Flathead Valley soon, it's a good time to check the app out. And the polls closed at 8 p.m. last night, but the final results for Flathead County municipal races came in very late or even early Wednesday morning around midnight. Election administrators say the delays were due to their counting machine not handling the folds in the mail-in ballots as efficiently as they had hoped. Ballots had to be driven from Whitefish, Columbia Falls, and various places around Kalispell to the elections office before they could be counted. Administrator Debbie Pearson says there are various issues that arise during every election that the office can't always control, and last night happened to be an issue with how those ballots were folded.
The absentee ballots are always folded, so this is something we address each time, but there just must have been something in the way that the backfold happened during the processing phase that they weren't feeding through the machine as quickly as they normally would. So we were having to do some manual folding to get the ballots to feed through the machine.
And Flathead County election officials report that 21% of the ballots were returned Tuesday night. So let's take a quick look at some of the key races in the Flathead County. We'll start with Kalispell City Council Ward 3. Newcomer Kyle Waterman beat incumbent Jim Atkinson. And then two candidates were vying for one open seat to represent Ward 4 of the City Council. Incumbent Tim Klusner will keep his seat with 76% of the vote. Current Columbia Falls Mayor Donald Bernhardt beat his challenger John Rallis and will serve another term. This was the first contested Columbia Falls mayor race since 2001. Barnhart walked away with 88% of the vote. Three candidates were vying for Whitefish Municipal Court Judge. Current Judge Bradley Johnson is retiring, and William Heilman will now be taking his place, receiving 55% of that vote. And the Eureka School District asked their residents to vote on an $18+ million bond that would rebuild the middle school, elementary school while repairing parts of the high school. The high school bond failed with 1,069 residents voting no and 649 voting yes. The elementary and middle school bond also failed as 813 said no to 550 saying yes. The bond would have put almost $15 million into rebuilding the new conjoined elementary and middle school that would be attached to the high school. Currently, both buildings have structural damage and outdated classrooms, among other issues. Another $3.5 million would have gone into the high school to create a new place to store school buses and build a new auto and wood shop. Principal of the middle school, Trevor Utter, says putting a Band-Aid on a wound is just delaying the fact that a new school will eventually need to be built and will continue to become more and more expensive.
I guess that's another disappointment that I have is, this is something we will deal with until the bond passes. At some point in time, you're going to have to build a new school in Eureka, Montana. And the cost of building is not going to be less. 2 years from now, it's going to cost more than it does today.
And Utter added that they cannot dwell on the failure of the bond, but need to move forward and continue to present options to the public and so the community can be on board with this decision. Helena's next mayor makes history as the first African-American mayor in the state. Wilmot Collins narrowly defeated longtime incumbent Mayor Jim Smith in last night's election. He won by less than 350 votes. Collins came to the U.S. as a refugee from Liberia almost 30 years ago and has lived in Helena for the last 23 years. Historian Ellen Balmer says Collins will be the first African-American mayor of Helena and the first in the state. Though Helena residents chose an unofficial African-American mayor in 1874 before the city was incorporated. Collins says he's still trying to process the win.
We decided to talk to the voters and see what they wanted. I had my issues I ran on, and then today it's national and people are talking about the historical. I'm still trying to take all of this in.
And Collins is a child protection specialist with the Montana Department of Health and Human Services and ran on the platform of increasing funding for public safety and wants to address homelessness among veterans and teens. Missoula County Sheriff's officials say a homeless Missoula man died of hypothermia early Monday morning, and one shelter says this man's loss hit their community hard, and they're jumping into action to make sure others on the street have a warm place to sleep. MTN's Augusta McDonald has the story.
Always had a smile on his face, and he brought joy to this area constantly, him and his friends, but Tim was, he had a big heart. He truly did.
Lloyd was considered homeless and has been a regular at the Union Gospel Mission Shelter for over a decade, where they accept everyone, including people who may be intoxicated with drugs or alcohol, something other shelters in Missoula don't allow.
They're coming in here being able to still fit in and have a place to stay when they may have an intoxication or something that they're dealing with, and we're going to handle that on a case-by-case, but really not turn anybody away.
The Union Gospel Mission has been around for almost 20 years, but the overnight warming shelters started just last year with the help of Providence St. Patrick Hospital to accommodate this population of Missoula's homeless who are abusing substances and not allowed into other shelters to stay warm in the winter. They plan to offer expanded services this year beginning November 11th, but Lloyd's death changed their plans and they opened the shelter early, the night after he died.
And there were men that hung out together and helped each other and protected each other and were there for each other to help, that now there's a person that's missing. So it's a huge impact, of which then we have a service here for them to say, you're important to us, you matter.
UGM staff need volunteers now to staff the warming shelter from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., 7 days a week. This will last until March 16th, providing 5 months of shelter. If you want to get involved, email outreach@ugmofmissoula.org or call 406-542-5240. Reporting in Missoula, I'm Augusta McDonald for MTN News.
And the Union Gospel Mission is part of the 10-year plan to end homelessness in Missoula, where stakeholders meet weekly to help people to get housing. And after the break, Aaron is back with your forecast, which includes some freezing rain to close out the week. And later, Republican lawmakers are planning to expand the upcoming special sessions agenda beyond what the governor has already proposed. That's coming up.